let's go on now, and there are two other things that we can touch on briefly. One is shifting, and then vibrato. Now, as far as shifting goes, I like to think of Dounis's big shifts being the prototype of shifting. And Dounis, in his books on shifting, does these huge shifts. You know, you go, you know, and the idea, what was the principle? Well, that the first finger rode up the string completely and down. How to get the same principles for a younger student. And so I like to do octave shifting. And what we're going to do, and I do this even with a student who's just learning third position. I mean, I do it, this has nothing to do necessarily with, quote, how many positions they've learned. This is like a basic motion. And what you're going to do is you're going to go release, I like to do it twice. Then I'm going to add the second finger, but I'm going to keep the one lightly on the string. In other words, it's a shift with the whole hand. Release, shift, and then since it's nice to have a key, I'm going to say we're in A major, so I'm going to play C sharp. Again, every time I shift, you notice these fingers are light, but they're on the string. The purpose of this is so that when you land in wherever you are, your hand is obviously perfectly balanced. Many of the errors in shifting occur because we shift in such a way that when we arrive there, we're really terribly out of balance, you see. And this exercise, by making all the fingers ride up and down, like a train, you know, with the engine and the cars on the train, on the track, you know, we'll get a sense of real, not only ease because I'm releasing, and then you go on in the key that you've selected, like A majors and E's to one. To the top. After the student has learned that, it's also possible to do it backwards, which is equally valuable. So you would start at the top. Release. So this shifting exercise has so many ramifications. Let's maybe go through some of them. First of all, you have to have a good position for the violin. In other words, a student who's like this is going to have way trouble. So this exercise can go along with correcting a student to have, you know, a supported instrument. You can even, if necessary, hold the scroll, you know, when you're introducing this exercise to the student, and give them a little support so that they can feel the ease of shifting, you know, without skiing uphill. So that's one very important thing, is that you have to have the real stable position of the instrument. The second thing I would say is this idea of release, that you do not move, you do not start. You do not start your movement until you have released, which to me means that you've brought, that you've lifted the finger enough so that the string comes up. So it's the old idea that you're shifting on a harmonic, you know, and you can even go, I think, you know, and make it a separate motion, and then plop down. And this works really well for students that are clutchers, you know, who are pressing all the time. Because by making it a separate step, don't just shift, but you have to, before you shift, you have to let go. You have to see the string come up, travel on top of the string, and then plop down when you're there. And this gets rid of that, squeezing as you shift. So that's important. One other thing that is real important with this exercise is to develop the bow. And that the bow should go from here, and as you shift, the bow should back up to the bridge. So for each one, you're going to see where the proper place is for the burro. If not, you're going to have something like this. You get that cracky sound. So this is a perfect exercise to have the student learn how to come into the bridge.
Do you tell them to consciously do that, or do they kind of just intuitively learn that?
No, well, some will. I mean, the student will feel it and will do it. But I think for most students, they need to learn it. Yeah, and actually, it's rather amazing. You can sometimes have, intermediate students or intermediate advanced students who still don't have that feeling of where the resonant point is on the string. I think it's real common. So people play here, instead of playing, and playing there. And in fact, there is an exercise for that, because this can really be something that, as I say, you can have a very good student who still has this flaw. And the exercise is to just silently move your bow into the bridge. It's like sweeping or dusting. You can do it any part of the bow. It's really good to do it near the tip, because that's often where people slide off. So what I'm doing, to be really specific, is this motion of pulling into the bridge. Either if the pitch is changing or you want a brighter sound, it should be done by pulling back from the elbow. Not just here or something. So to really do it correctly, you're going to want to, at any point on the bow, actually feel that your coming in is moving backwards with the elbow. And if the student understands that, you see, then they can really, so sometimes I'll make them do it all the way up and down the bow, like this. And you shouldn't make it shouldn't make a regular sound, right? Because, they're used to going this way, but you want to make the motion purely running up and over the bridge. Okay, so any questions about octave shifting?
Yes.
Yes.
I always find myself wondering at what point I should have sort of beginning students start with shifting beyond just sort of getting comfortable in first and then going to third position, showing them how to glide. But then I just wonder, would you teach the octave shifting to students on a pretty when they just start shifting to third position, you would actually just have them do the leap and just get comfortable on the whole fingerboard? Okay.
Yeah. First of all, I believe that everybody with a little coaxing can hear the octave. I think you can actually hear it, and that's a good thing to develop. And I think that you want, and as I say, the whole idea of these shifts is that the whole hand is shifting, and that you're basically just sliding up and down like this. Anybody who's playing, let's say, Vivaldi A minor, who's established themselves in first and third, probably can do it. And I think even somebody in first position could do it if they held the violin well. So I would say the earlier the better.
The kids like it; they think it's fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They like
Yeah.
it.
Well, no,
They
really,
like
they
it
do.
more than just like only going third
First,
position.
frees them up. It
Yeah,
probably
and-
makes third position a little less.
Well, see, I told them
Less
right at the
hocus
beginning,
pocusy.
I said, I'm going to teach you the big shift, and then all the other shifts are going to seem so easy.
Okay.
Can I ask a quick question?
Sure.
Do you ever, so in the Dounis big book, there's the same octave one with each finger repeated on each pitch. So do you ever like a combination of what you're doing with a straight scale, one finger per shift, with repeating those fingers for more advanced
Well,
students?
yeah, I mean, what I like to do about shifting is give this sense of freedom. So once they've learned like the octave shifting, both going up and then up, down, up, then we start playing games. And these, like you can do like, you know, just filling in all the intervals, or from the top. You see, like that. And then maybe next week do it with second finger. And I mean, you know, not to forget the good old-fashioned guide finger. I mean, I believe in it. I mean, you know, and any shift, you know, you would take whatever the bottom finger is that you're shifting from, go into the new position, establish what that pitch is, and then add on what else you need. And that reminds me of from the Dounis books, you know, and all the many exercises. The one shifting exercise that I do like to use is the one that goes. Because this one really gives you that feeling of, again, the whole hand and this shifting, quick and everything. So that, I think it's one of the first ones in that chapter on shifting.